Hey guys, hopefully everybody's doing all right, hanging in there, working hard. So today's learning target, we're going to continue with I can find the volume of composite figures. And you're thinking, Mr. Curtis, what's going on? We've been on this learning target forever. Yes, we have. Okay, but today is our last lesson in our volume unit. So we're going to transition into similar figures, composite figures you saw yesterday. But there's something just a little bit different about what we're going to do today. Because if you look at this composite figure, I'm sure you notice not all the edges are labeled with measurements. So today when we decompose, we're going to find, hey, I might have to do a little searching, do a little math, do a little thinking to go ahead and find the measurement. Okay, so before I decompose, let's just think about it. Okay, so look at all the edges that are labeled with the dimensions. Look at the ones that are not. Would we be able to figure out what those measurements were? Like for instance, right here, this is the width. Well, isn't this edge the width as well? So that would be 3 centimeters. So I would figure it out, even though it's not labeled there, that might be important when I decompose, that's 3 centimeters as well. Or I could trace here front to back. Even up here is front to back. So that would be the same as the width here. So even here would be 3 centimeters, or here would be 3 centimeters. So notice another edge, like this isn't labeled. Well, that's the height, or just from here to here. Well, that's the same as this edge. So if that's 3 centimeters, that must be. But let's see, I noticed this edge, or this edge isn't labeled. So I'm wondering what we could do to figure that out. Okay, so let's keep that in mind as we decompose and try to find the volume of this composite figure. All right, so Mr. Kurt's going to go ahead and use his mathematical lightsaber to decompose. So I'm going to decompose this way first of all. So one on the left, one on the right. Okay, so there we go. So I see that larger one on the left, larger one on the right. So let's see if I can go ahead and label the dimensions separately. So looking at that larger one on the left. So length, so distance across. So yes, this edge is length, but this is also going across. So I'm going to go ahead and label that 4 centimeters as the length. So width, looks like I got to do some thinking on what we just did a second ago. So this edge here is not labeled front to back. This one isn't, but remember what we said? So it would be the same as this edge down here because that's front to back. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually come up here. Let me label it right up here. Width equals 3 centimeters. So that's how it's a little bit different today. We may have to go ahead and find those measurements, but everything's there. Okay, so I do see the height, so which would be the 9 centimeters. So I do now have the length, width, and height of that larger one on the left. Now let's go ahead and label the dimensions of the one on the right, that smaller one. Okay, so now let's see. Length, I gotta be careful. This 6 centimeters, that's the length of that whole composite figure, but I just want from here to here, or this edge right across. None of them are labeled. So what am I gonna do to figure out what that distance across for the length of that smaller one would be? Well, you know what? Even though this is the length of the whole composite figure, that's still gonna help me. Because the whole distance across is 6 centimeters. You know what's gonna help me is actually right here. Because if from here to here is 4 centimeters, I could actually label that right here. From here to here is 4 centimeters. Because that is the length of that larger one. So from there to there is 4 centimeters. So from here to here, I could say, well, the whole thing is 6. So 4 plus something is 6, or the whole thing is 6 centimeters, take away the 4. So right here would be 2 centimeters. Okay, so that length equals 2 centimeters. And I do see the width, 3 centimeters. And I do see the height, 3 centimeters. All right, so you could probably do this in your sleep by now. So we're going to find the volume of each and then add together. So volume of that one on the left. So volume equals length times width times height. Volume equals 4 centimeters times 3 centimeters times 9 centimeters. Okay, so volume equals, so 4 times 3 is 12 times 9. I do know my 12's timetable, so that would be 108 cubic centimeters. All right, volume of the smaller one here. So volume equals length times width times height. Volume equals, so 2 centimeters. Be careful, it's not that 6. 2 centimeters times 3 centimeters times 3 centimeters. So I'll just do 2 times 3 is 6, times 3 is 18 cubic centimeters. So do not forget to add. So that 108 cubic centimeters plus 18 cubic centimeters. So 8 plus 8 is 16, regroup. 110 plus 110 is 210 plus 100, 126 cubic centimeters. Okay, so a little different today. So before I go ahead and use strategy 2 where I could decompose differently, so I actually want you to think about this strategy where we went ahead and decompose where there's 1 on the left, 1 on the right. So you're going to do your problem right now with strategy 1 before I continue with mine and do strategy 2. Okay, so let's take a look at your problem. All right, so I noticed similar to mine where some edges are not labeled. Okay, so that's what we're doing here today, where we're going to have to figure out some of those edges to help us with length, width, and height. All right, so first of all, and keep in mind, you can always, if you can print out, print out. If not, you could always copy on scratch paper. It's a little bit easier, so you can show your work there and figure it out. So go ahead and think about how you're going to decompose it, where there's 1 on the left, 1 on the right. Okay, so I'm sure you're experts at this by now, so you went ahead and did that. Okay. And just like before, so you're going to go ahead and pause the video. So go ahead and in a second pause it and see if you can determine the measurements of each. Once you've done the measurements, then actually unpause it so you can check before we find the volume. Because I don't want you finding the dimensions, find the volume, and then it's harder for you to find your mistake. So just worry about, can you label the length, width, and height of this one, the length, width, and height of this one, and then unpause it and check with me. Okay, so go ahead and pause it now. All right, so we're back here. Let's go ahead and see if we labeled our dimensions correctly. So let's look at this larger one on the left. So hopefully you spotted that this 3 feet, that is the distance across. So that is the length. So, but the width, okay, so this edge front to back is not labeled, but hopefully you thought, similar to my problem, hey, this is front to back 2 feet. Well, this edge is 2 feet. All of these from front to back, all of those are the width. So we can come up here and label 2 feet. Okay, and then we definitely have the height, 8 feet. Okay, so we got length, width, and height of the large one on the left. Now let's look at the smaller one on the right here. So let's see if we have all our dimensions. So now be careful. So hopefully you didn't label that 8 feet is the length of this one. That's the length of the whole composite figure. Okay, but you're gonna do something similar as you did when you saw me do. The length here is 3 feet of that larger one. So you can label from here to here is 3 feet. So now think about it. If the whole length of the composite figure is 8 feet, from here to here is 3 feet, this would be, that's right, 5 feet. Okay, because 3 plus 5 equals 8, or 8 minus 3 gives you the 5 feet. So length across, I'm just gonna label the edge, equals 5 feet. So, and we do have other dimensions because front to back, there we go. Width. And then top down, there's our height. Okay, so keep in mind with any of these videos, you can always go back and rewind and try it again or watch it again. I know it's a little bit trickier today, getting all those dimensions because they're not all labeled. All right, so now you're gonna pause it and go ahead and find the volume and then unpause it and we'll check together. So pause it now. All right, we're back. Let's go ahead and see how you did with finding the volume. So looking at that larger one on the left, so let's go ahead and see how we did. Volume equals length times width times height. Volume equals, so we've got 3 feet by 2 feet by 8 feet. So 3 times 2 equals 6 times 8 equals 48 cubic feet. All right, smaller one on the right. Volume equals length times width times height. Volume equals, okay, 5 feet by 2 feet. Ooh, got my multiplication sign. By 5 feet. Okay, 5 times 2 is 10, times 5 equals 50 cubic feet. Okay, and do not forget to add them together. So 48 cubic feet plus 50 cubic feet equals 98 cubic feet. Once again, you can always go back and rewatch this. So if you had a little trouble, give another try or watch me do mine again. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead. So pencil down because now Mr. Curtis is gonna go back to his problem because remember, I could have decomposed it instead of the one on the left, one on the right. So the one on the top, the one on the bottom. So let me use my mathematical lightsaber. There we go. So I sliced it, decomposed. Ooh, a little blurry there. All right, decomposed. So you got the one on the top and the one on the bottom. Let me go ahead and see if I can determine the measurements, the dimensions of each. Okay, so distance across. So the one on the top, I do see a length of 4 centimeters. So width, just like the last one, similar. So if the width here is 3 centimeters, so it's the same up here as well. So that's the front to back. So I can label the width equals 3 centimeters. Now we gotta be careful of the height. So I just want this edge, or from here to here. Look where I decomposed it. That 9, remember that 9 was originally labeled the height of the whole composite figure. So I just want from here to here. So, do you see any clues that help me figure that out? Okay, well, if you look over here, this edge, the height of the one on the bottom is 3 centimeters. So this would be 3 centimeters. And you know what? From here to here would be 3 centimeters. So if the whole thing is 9, from there to there is 3 centimeters. That's right, 6 centimeters. So from there to there, 3 plus 6 is 9, or 9 minus 3 gives us that 6 centimeters. So from there to there. So there's our length, 6 centimeters. So I've got all dimensions for the one on top, so let's look at the one on the bottom. So let's see, length is labeled. There we go, 6 centimeters. So width is labeled, 3 centimeters. And height is labeled. I had everything I needed. So for the one on the bottom. All right, let's roll through this. So volume equals length times width times height. Volume equals, looking at that one on the top, be careful. So that's why I had to label everything over here so I'm not going to get tricked and use that 9 centimeters. So 6 centimeters times 3 centimeters times 4 centimeters. Volume equals, so I'm going to do, let's see, 4 times 3 first of all is 12 times 6, 72 cubic centimeters. All right, so the one on the bottom, volume equals length times width times height. Volume equals 6 centimeters by 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters. Volume equals, all right, I'm going to do 3 times 3 is 9. First times 6 is 54 cubic centimeters. All right, don't forget to add. So 72 cubic centimeters plus 54 cubic centimeters. There we go. So 126 cubic centimeters. Ooh, I have it inside there. There we go. If I go back, let's see, compare. All right, because I noticed a few of us when we're doing our ticket to work are getting different answers. So we need to get the same answer, even though we decompose it 2 different ways. Same answer, we're being flexible. So that means you need to go back, especially for today's lesson, go back, check, did you label your measurements correctly? But also check, you know how some of us are making those multiplication mistakes. So do not put 2 answers on your ticket to work. Go back and check to see if you can catch your mistake. All right, so let's turn attention to your problem. Second way, remember we already did this way. One on the left, one on the right. All right, so remember you're gonna go ahead and decompose it where you have the one on the top and one on the bottom. So think about how you do that now. All right, so let's go ahead. Hopefully you thought about doing it that way. There we go. All right, so now once again, just like you did before, so I want you to think about the measurements for each and label. So you'll pause in a second and then we'll check before you find the volume. Okay, so go ahead, you're gonna pause it now so you can label the dimensions. Go ahead and pause it. All right, so let's go ahead and check now to see how you did. Let's look at the one on the top there. So I do see that they have the length labeled for us. All right, so width, remember if the width down here is 2 feet, so all these edges front to back would be 2 feet as well. So we can come up here and label width is 2 feet. Okay, now height, don't get tricked. The height of the whole thing was labeled as 8 feet. So we just want here to here, one of these edges, but not labeled. Okay, so the clue here is over here. If this edge from here to here is 5 feet, that means where we drew that line from here to here is 5 feet. So therefore from here to here, that's right, 3 feet. Because 5 plus 3 equals 8, or 8 minus 5 equals 3. There we go, length, width, and height. All right, look at the one on the bottom. So it looks like we might be set. Length equals 8 feet, width equals 2 feet, height equals 5 feet. Hey, we were good to go there. All right, so in a second you're gonna pause it so you can find the volume of each and then add together and we'll see if we get the same answer as before. All right, so go ahead and pause it now, find the volume of each, and don't forget to add together. Go ahead and pause it. All right, so let's go ahead and check, see how we did. All right, so let's look at the volume of the one on top there. Volume equals length times width times height. Volume equals 3 feet times 2 feet times 3 feet. 3 times 2 equals 6, times 3 equals 18 cubic feet. All right, the one larger one on the bottom, volume equals length times width times height. Volume equals 8 feet by 2 feet by 5 feet. All right, I'm thinking here I'm going to do 2 times 5. First of all, I'll get 10 times 8 equals 80 cubic feet. All right, don't forget to add together. 18 cubic feet plus 80 cubic feet equals 98 cubic feet. Okay, so let's go back and check to see if we got the same answer. Look at that, we did. Same answer as before. Even though we decomposed it 2 ways, still got the same answer. So in your ticket to work today, I'm going to ask that you try both ways. And if you get different answers, you got to go back and check. Was it a mistake in labeling our measurements? Or was it a mistake in multiplication? Or maybe you didn't add correctly? So go back, retrace your steps. So I got the same answer. I'm confident in my answer. All right, so go ahead and give your ticket to work a try.